Gun stores are heating up again, and I'm seeing the same patterns we saw back in 2020. People are lining up, shelves are thinning out, and certain guns are vanishing fast while everyone's trying to get ahead of what might be coming next. What's up? This is Luke from Line 45. Today, we're investigating why fear buying is back across America, what's actually driving it this time, and which guns people are grabbing before they disappear again. Before we dive in, do me a solid, smash that subscribe, tap the bell, hit all the dang buttons down there. You don't gotta, but it keeps this train rolling and lets me crank out more of this wild gun talk for y'all. Alright, enough of that. Let's get back to it. Deja vu, but different. I've been to a few gun shops lately, and it feels like 2020 all over again. Shelves that were full a few months ago are getting picked clean, and stores are throwing up ammo limits again. The difference this time is that it's not some wild panic where people buy anything with a trigger. It's more targeted. Folks are walking in asking for specific models, like the Glock 19, SIG P 365, or Mossberg 590. Dealers I talked to in Texas and Washington said they're seeing the same pattern. People know what they want, and they're buying it fast. NICS background check numbers back it up too. The last quarter of 2023 saw an abnormal spike, especially in states floating new restrictions, or where election talk is heating up. Ammunition companies like Federal and Winchester are already reporting higher bulk orders, and some ranges are quietly raising membership prices because demand's jumping again. Google Trends even shows best gun for home defense and gun shortage coming, climbing hard since early this year. That's not a coincidence. The vibe feels more strategic this time. It's like people learned from the chaos in 2020 and don't want to get caught slipping again. Crime rates in major cities are creeping up, politics are getting loud, and folks are losing faith that someone else will protect them. You can feel that shift. Fear buying's back. But this round feels personal. Bet. People are planning ahead now instead of panicking later. The pandemic boom never really ended. Everyone keeps talking like 2020 was a one-time thing, but honestly, that year just rewired the whole gun market. During the pandemic, between the riots, lockdowns, and political mess, Americans bought over 21 million firearms in a single year. That's the highest number ever recorded by the FBI's NICS system. It cooled off a bit after that, but sales never went back to normal. Even in 2023, numbers were still 20 to 30% higher than before COVID hit. The so-called panic spike just turned into a new baseline. You talk to any gun store owner, and they'll tell you the same thing. People didn't stop buying. They just started being smarter about what they bought. Instead of random impulse buys, most customers are looking for something specific now, like a carry pistol, a reliable shotgun, or a mid-tier AR for home defense. Companies like Smith & Wesson and Ruger adjusted production to meet that steady demand instead of flooding the market like before. And ammo manufacturers learned too. They're keeping inventories tighter so they don't drown in overstock if things slow down again. So, what we're seeing in 2025 isn't some brand new wave. It's more like a continuation of the culture shift that started 5 years ago. Americans realized during the chaos that owning a gun wasn't about paranoia, it was about being prepared. That mindset stuck. Bet, the gun boom didn't end, it just grew up. Proof, the surge is real. I've been keeping an eye on the numbers and hitting local gun shops, and it's obvious something's heating up again. The FBI's NICS system logged around 1.6 million background checks in December 2023, which is wild, considering that's higher than most months that year, and way above pre-pandemic levels. When I asked a few shop owners in Texas and Washington what they're seeing, they all said the same thing. People aren't window shopping anymore. They're walking in asking for exact models like the Glock 19 Gen 5, SIG P 365 XL, or M&P 9 Shield Plus, and they're buying the same day. Even online, the signs are clear. I checked Google Trends, and searches for best gun for home defense and gun shortage coming have been climbing again since early this year. Ammo prices are following the same pattern. 9mm and 12-gauge loads are creeping up, and some stores are quietly limiting boxes per customer just to stretch inventory. When I was at the academy last week, they had signs up saying, "Limit 2 per caliber," which we haven't seen since the last shortage. So yeah, the buzz isn't just talk. The numbers, the shelves, and the search data all line up. Folks remember what happened in 2020, and they're not getting caught unprepared again. I can feel that same tension building, and this time, people are buying smarter, not panicking. Bet that. What's fueling the gun rush? I've been asking around, and the same answer keeps coming up. People don't trust the system like they used to. Between the talk about Project 2025, the constant state-level bans being floated, and headlines about rising violent crime, a lot of Americans feel like they're on their own again. It's not paranoia either. The FBI's own Uniform Crime Report showed violent crime rates staying high in major cities through 2023, and big outlets like Reuters and Pew Research confirmed firearm ownership keeps climbing because of that fear. You mix that with shaky confidence in law enforcement response times, and it's no surprise more folks are buying guns now than before. When I talked to a small gun shop owner in Dallas, he told me half his customers this year are repeat buyers. They're not first-timers. They're people who already own a pistol or an AR, but want another for backup before laws shift again. Out west, guys in Oregon and California are panic buying before their next batch of restrictions kicks in. The talk around assault weapon bans and magazine limits lights of fire under buyers every single time. Politicians open their mouths and gun sales spike the same week. At this point, it's less about panic and more about self-reliance. Folks remember how fast things got sideways during lockdowns and riots, and they don't want to gamble with their safety again. No cap? This new fear-buying wave feels like a mix of survival instinct and distrust rolled into one. What's actually selling out right now? When I hit up a few local shops this month, I started noticing a pattern in what's disappearing first. Compact 9mm handguns are moving faster than anything else. Models like the Glock 19, SIG P365, and Smith & Wesson M&P 9 are flying off the racks because they hit that sweet spot for concealed carry and home defense. These guns are easy to shoot, easy to hide, and dead reliable. Even the new guys behind the counter told me they can't keep them in stock longer than a few days. The demand's crazy high because people want something practical, not flashy. Shotguns are right behind them. Mossberg 590 seconds, Remington 870 seconds, and Benelli M4S are all getting scooped up again. A lot of buyers are picking them for home defense because they're simple, powerful, and legal in more restrictive states. You don't need to worry about magazine capacity limits or optics bans when you've got a pump shotgun that just works. Add in rising crime headlines, and folks naturally lean towards something that feels familiar and effective. Then there's the AR crowd. Every time talk about new bans or registration laws pops up, AR 15 seconds and AK-style rifles start vanishing. I stopped by a range in Washington last week, and half the shooters there were zeroing in new rifles. People are buying while they still can. No cap. It feels like everyone's trying to get their setup squared away before another political storm hits. Ammo crunch 2 is creeping in. By the way, I also started noticing ammo prices climbing again around late 2024, and it hasn't slowed down since. Walk into any shop right now, and you'll see it plain as day. 9mm, 45 ACP, and 357 Magnum are all going up, and boxes that used to be $15 are now pushing $20 or more. Some of that's inflation, but part of it's the classic supply squeeze we've seen before. When gun sales climb, ammo always follows. Federal, Winchester, and Remington are all running near capacity again, but stores can't restock fast enough because folks are buying by the case instead of the box. Shotgun shells are starting to tighten up too. 12-gauge buckshot and slugs, especially defensive loads like Federal Flight Control, are becoming harder to find. A couple of smaller ranges around me are putting up signs that limit buyers to 2 boxes per person. I called one of the distributors last week, and they told me that 9mm production lines are prioritized right now, since that's where the demand is heaviest. So, if you're into 40, 3, 80, or less common calibers, expect to hunt a bit or pay extra. This feels like early 2020 all over again, just slower and more controlled. People aren't panic hoarding yet, but they're quietly stocking up before the next shortage hits. I've started grabbing extra boxes whenever I see good deals, because once the next political push happens, it'll be gone overnight. Bet, this ammo wave's just getting started. How to handle the surge? Every time the market heats up, I see people making the same mistakes: panic, buying junk, paying way too much, or grabbing guns they'll never actually train with. I get it. When you see empty shelves and hear about new laws, that survival instinct kicks in. But the smart move right now isn't buying everything you can. It's buying what's practical, what you'll actually shoot, and what fits your needs. If you're new, start with something reliable, like a compact 9mm pistol or a pump shotgun. If you already own a few, focus on ammo, mags, and quality training instead of stacking random calibers. The biggest shift I've seen since 2020 is that people are getting smarter about preparedness. Instead of hoarding, more shooters are investing in range time, safe storage, and small community clubs where they can train together. Companies like Hornady and Winchester are even pushing education programs because they know the new wave of owners isn't going anywhere. Firearm instructors across the country are reporting record-class numbers again, especially among women and first-time buyers. That's a good sign because it means this boom's about confidence, not fear. My take? Don't feed into the panic. Stock up gradually, stay consistent with practice, and get involved with your local range or shooting group. Laws might change, but skill and preparation never go out of style. Bet, the people training now are the ones who'll handle whatever comes next without breaking a sweat.